Good evening and welcome back to 49 News for our second show of the 2024 spring semester. I'm Kira Melizanis.
And I'm Molly Herschel. Tonight, we will be taking a look at things happening on and around UD's campus, while also taking a step back for some worldwide views. 49 News starts right now.
4 years ago, on today's date, was a monumental moment in United States history. March 13, 2020, is the unfortunate anniversary of the start of the COVID pandemic. The national emergency not only threatened Americans with severe illness and many fatalities, but also left a lasting impact on the country. The pandemic has changed many areas of life, including health, society, and the economy, and continues to prove to have substantial effects. The popular Main Street restaurant and bar Grotto's is under some heavy heat after the manager was charged with selling cocaine to his employees. Michael Gordon Summers of Elkton, Maryland, was arrested on February 23rd for possession of cocaine with intent to deliver, drug dealing, possession of drug paraphernalia, and driving on a revoked license. The investigation began in October, and police finally arrested him after receiving a warrant to investigate his vehicle. Gordon Summers has been suspended from working at Grotto's and is not permitted on the property pending the outcome of his trial, says Wilmington native has been arrested and charged with aggravated menacing and possessing a deadly weapon during the commission of a felony after visiting UD's campus. The 18-year-old was visiting friends in George Reed Hall 2 weeks ago when the victim took him outside after an argument, and the 18-year-old pulled out a blade and threatened them. The victim ran back inside George Reed.
The University of Delaware has withdrawn its request for a city funding for a pollinator garden on Amstel Avenue. The reversal comes just 2 weeks after the city's Conversation Advisory Commission agreed to contribute $6,000 to the project. A UD spokesperson said the university has no immediate plans for the Amstel Avenue site, but declined to elaborate on why or how it was determined not to be a viable location for a pollinator garden, just 2 weeks after it was described as a prime location for the project. This past Friday, 3 construction workers were injured after a partial building collapse in Wilmington, Delaware. This occurred at a building located at 4th and Orange Street. Wilmington Fire Chief John Looney reported that there are minor injuries. Last week, the Hen Law Society hosted its first ever workshop for inspiring law students here on campus. Ryan Mink has more.
It is so wonderful to see this room filled this way. This is what the dream had been, and we finally got there.
The Hen Law Society hosted its first ever networking night in the University of Delaware's history. Students studying in law had the opportunity to meet and network with a variety of UD alumni who work in the field of law, including judges, attorneys, and other workers in law. The Hen Law Society was created in 2015 to offer students a helping hand in assisting law students.
And the whole concept of this is none of us, when we were young, had any kind of support system when we went to law school. Not just beforehand, university had it. But once you got into law school, you were all alone. You went into practice, you were all alone. Now, this group, we have the law students helping the undergrads. We have the alumni helping the undergrads. We have the alumni helping the law students. And as long as people use that networking, everybody will be able to.
Since its creation in 2015, the Hen Law Society has continually met to find ways to assist students in helping them forge their own path in the law business.
I've been active with the Hen Law Society for the last 2 years or so. We meet about once a month in person or virtually to talk about different programming, different ways to reach UD students. It's good. I'm floored by the turnout because we've had some intros to a handful of students, trying to mentor them, answer any questions they have about law school or career in law, how to go about it, what's good, what's not so good.
Even former UD alumni agreed that it was difficult to network back then.
I think it's great. It's great to network, be able to meet some attorneys and stuff. We never had that back when I went to school here. And I didn't know any attorneys or anything like that. I didn't have a little bit of background, a little bit of advice and mentoring perhaps from folks that are attorneys would have really been helpful.
Though Hen Law Society offers these resources to students, how do students take advantage of this opportunity?
Just met someone who works at a health law firm, which is what I particularly just definitely helps down the road. You know, you never know where you want to go.
With the success of its first networking night, the Hen Law Society will continue to offer events like these to give students the best opportunity to maximize their success in the law field. For 49 News, I'm Ryan Mink.
Hello everyone, I'm Ryan Mink and this is your sports update. The 6th-seeded men's basketball team finished its season Sunday night in the nation's capital with a 73-58 loss to 3rd-seeded Hofstra at the CAA tournament. The Blue Hens concluded the year 19-14 overall. However, there are plenty of awards to go around as senior guard Christian Ray was named the CAA Scholar Athlete of the Year, joining All-CAA second-team selection Jair Davis as the Blue Hens End of the Year award winners. Ray became the first ever Delaware men's basketball player to take home the annual honor, and on the court, Ray led the CAA in rebounds, rebounds per game, and defensive rebounds per game. The women's basketball team starts its quest for CAA title number 4 on Thursday after finishing the 2023-24 regular season 11-19 and 7-11 in conference play. The Blue Hens secured the number 10 seed in the upcoming 2024 CAA Women's Basketball Championship in Washington, D.C., as head coach Sarah Jenkins and her flock of Blue Hens will face the number 7 seeded Drexel in the second round tomorrow at 5 p.m. The University of Delaware's men's lacrosse team ended their 2-game losing skid with a 16-7 win over Monmouth Saturday afternoon. The team now improves to 3-2 overall with 1-0 record in CAA action. Freshman John McCurry and sophomore Brendan Powers combined for 8 goals to lead the charge. McCurry's 5 goals led all scorers in the afternoon, while Powers recorded his first career hat trick. Delaware will remain on the road as the Blue Hens travel to Virginia for a neutral site game against number 9 Syracuse for College Lacrosse Live. Game time is set for Saturday, March 15th at 2 p.m. The University of Delaware women's lacrosse team won their 4th straight game this season against Wagner, defeating the Seahawks 17-6. The Hens have officially closed out their non-conference schedule, finishing 7-1 overall with a 4-0 record at home and a 3-1 record on the road. A standout from the week was Madison Hronika, who was named CAA Defensive Player of the Week. She had a monster week for the Hens, totaling 16 caused turnovers and 13 ground balls, and she set a program record and CAA single-game record with 11 caused turnovers against Lafayette. The Blue Hens travel to Philadelphia on Saturday, March 16th to start CAA conference play against Drexel. The University of Delaware's baseball team finished their weekend with a 7-6 win against Quinnipiac. With the win, the Blue Hens' overall record goes to 8-6 and have won their last 3 series. The Blue Hens were led by Joey Lowe as he went 3 for 4 on the day with 1 walk and 1 score. Jake Dunyan was the other Blue Hen with multiple hits as he went 2 for 3 on the day, driving in 1 run and walking once. The Blue Hens continue their homestand as they are currently taking on Georgetown. The University of Delaware softball team defeated Charleston with a final score of 8-6. Delaware trailed 5-0 in the 4th inning. However, they mustered a 5-run 5th inning to take the lead before inclement weather suspended the game until Sunday afternoon. The game was then called in the 5th inning due to unplayable field conditions, giving Delaware the victory. Julia Bonnet went 2 for 3 with 2 runs, scored an RBI, while Veronica Dominiday went 2 for 2 with a triple and RBI. That's all for sports. Now on to weather with Laura.
Thank you, Ryan. Good evening, Blue Hens. I'm student meteorologist Laura Daly with this week's weather update. We are having a refreshing taste of spring right now as this pocket of warm air is hanging over us. Temperatures reached a high of 72 today, and boy, did that feel nice. Currently, temps are sitting at 60 degrees, which is very comfortable and not too bad tomorrow morning either. We are looking at around 48 degrees at 6 a.m. for those early birds. Going more into the overnight hours, it will be pretty clear and again pretty comfortable at 47 degrees as our low. And look at this, thanks to daylight savings, we are seeing the sun out for later on in the evening. Tonight, the sun set at 7:09 and it won't rise until 7:15 in the morning. This is really adding on to that excitement that spring is just around the corner. St. Paddy's Day is coming up this weekend, which means a lot of Blue Hens will be out celebrating. Good news, it will be pretty warm throughout the whole weekend. The only minor damper is on Friday. Although temperatures will reach a high of 71, it will be cloudier and there will be some passing showers throughout the afternoon and evening. However, that rain clears out for Saturday and Sunday. Temps dip slightly into the 60s, but it's still really nice weather for March. Taking a look at our 7-day forecast, we can see tomorrow is looking beautiful and the sun will be beaming throughout the day. Chance of rain on Friday, but temperatures are staying warm throughout the weekend. Now, they don't call it fall spring for nothing, and unfortunately, that is what we are experiencing. A cold front is coming through on Sunday night, and temperatures are falling back down into the 40s, and we can even see some lows below freezing. So enjoy the taste of spring while you can, and be prepared for that cold to be back on Monday. That's all for your weather forecast. Be sure to follow 49 News and Blue Hen Weather for more. I'm tossing it back over to Molly for more news.
The Delaware House has approved a significant bill regarding handgun purchases. The legislation in question involves the issuance of permits to purchase handguns. This move marks a pivotal moment in the state's firearms regulations. If signed into law, it could potentially impact how individuals acquire handguns in Delaware. The typical paper and pencil SATs are long gone, a thing of the past. This SAT season, students across the U.S. will take the test administered on computers and tablets. With many colleges and universities opting to be test optional still, the College Board hoped that relaunching the standardized test on a digital platform will help win over skeptical schools. The new digital version is an hour shorter but scored the same way and still includes 2 sections, math, reading, and writing. Students are also put in a lockdown browser to prevent cheating. This past Sunday marked the official start of daylight savings time, which means longer days are quickly on their way. But not even springing ahead comes without drawbacks, especially on a college campus. Mike Malozzi reports.
It's the sound nobody likes to hear, and yet it's the first thing to greet us as the sun takes its rightful place overhead. While rolling out of bed to this restless rhythm may be challenging enough, what happens when students are forced to snooze the internal clocks in their own bodies?
I was definitely a lot more tired. I actually ended up using a late pass for an assignment that I had due this morning.
I am more tired, and at first I was like, what's going on? Because I kind of forgot it was daylight savings, but then I looked at my clock and I was like, oh, it makes sense.
If you hadn't already noticed, each and every clock in the United States, outside of those in Arizona and Hawaii, that is, was set forward 1 hour as of 2 a.m. this past Sunday. To many, daylight savings is the first stop on the road to spring and eventually summer, as each night until November will now see the sun rise and set 1 hour later than we've been used to all winter. But the time change isn't all sunshine and rainbows for college students, who often have strict schedules to follow on campus.
They start earlier than your biology is ready to be alert and learn and retain knowledge. So then you pile this change on top of it, and you're not going to be as able to absorb knowledge and retain it.
To those on campus, daylight savings can mean feeling much more tired on the morning walk to class as their bodies adjust to their new schedules. But this abrupt change in time can also mean many other worrisome challenges for those on and around campus, including a temporary decline in physical health, which students can ill afford with midterms on the horizon, and even bigger issues, including a staggering 1,100% increase in car accidents involving pedestrians in the immediate aftermath.
When we do the time shift, you have increases in heart attacks, miscarriages, stroke, auto accidents, all kinds of things are increased danger because of daylight savings time.
It might seem crazy to be against more daylight, but the students aren't alone. In fact, they're backed by an unlikely ally: the entire United States Congress.
Many U.S. states, Delaware included, have attempted to pass legislation that would put an end to a yearly time change. In fact, the United States Senate unanimously voted on the Sunshine Protection Act in 2022, which would have thrown away the idea of a time change and made daylight savings hours permanent. The act stalled in the House, though, and hasn't gained much momentum since.
So I really think we need it. It could be more of a regional thing for different states maybe, but overall I don't really think that we need it, and I think Congress should be passing legislation to get rid of it.
For now, UD students will join a vast majority of their peers around the nation who may need to snooze their alarms a few more times before getting to that morning class, and perhaps should consider an earlier bedtime as the sun sets on another day in Newark. For 49 News, I'm Mike Malozzi.
The Food and Drug Administration reported in a safety warning on Wednesday that certain ground cinnamon products in the United States are contaminated with lead. The FDA reports that people should not eat, sell, or serve these ground cinnamon products, but rather dispose of them. This warning came after the recall of lead-contaminated cinnamon applesauce pouches from the Florida-based company Wanabana USA. The CDC reports that as of February 23rd, it had received 468 cases of lead poisoning linked to the applesauce pouches from 44 states. Most of the cases reported were young children. The Public Relations Student Society of America's case study competition is back on UD's campus this semester after receiving an honorable mention in last year's competition. The Bateman competition gives students a unique opportunity to take on a brand as a client and implement a full public relations campaign. Teams of students have already implemented their campaigns for the brand Cultures. Public relations student Kylie Cabello and her team UD Break the Bounds is one group of students working on this competition.
Our campaign and our efforts is to bring Cultures magazine to UD and to make sure that it becomes a household name into our community. Our objectives were to build a network of ambassadors, and we actually were able to get about 200 scans on our ambassador QR code, which is awesome. Another objective that we had was to garner media coverage, obviously just bringing it out to the UD community. And then finally, the last thing that we need to do is have about 1 to 2 partnerships per school, but we were actually able to get 3. So we got UD Athletics, we got the UD Panhellenic Council, and we also got the Men of Distinction, which is a Black fraternity here on campus.
The students involved have been hard at work this past month implementing the campaign and have gained real-world experience that they will be able to take with them throughout the rest of their time at UD and after. We wish the teams luck with finishing up their submissions. Every student has their own special talents where they have the privilege to share to other students at UD. Tune in to a new club on campus where students are expressing their creativity through film. Molly Herschel has the story.
Get your popcorn ready. There is a new short film club on campus called Pearson Productions. After 3 friends met in a communications class and shared their love of filmmaking, they decided to act on their passion and create UD's first short film club.
So I was in a class with the president of Pearson Productions, Yode, and I was also in the class with the vice president, Brandon. Yode, he just came up to Brandon and I and was like, we should start a short filmmaking club. And we were totally on board with that idea. We both all love film, we're all very passionate about it. And we realized that there's no short film making club here at UD, so we really wanted to be the first ones to make that.
It's actually my dream to become a director. So I've always been interested in filmmaking. Coming to University of Delaware really brought it out to me, because I had all this freedom to actually follow my passion.
After combining the 3 friends' individual talents, Pearson Productions was born.
While there's certainly a lot of ways for students to watch and enjoy films on campus, Pearson Productions is paving the way for student filmmakers to get their films on the big screen.
Some long-term goals especially would be to get our films published at film festivals. We don't really think that they're very far-fetched, or that's a very far-fetched goal, because we think that we have a lot of talent here, especially in this club. We think that we have very good people running this club.
Along with their longer projects, Pearson Productions also has plans to create Instagram reel-length videos and ultimately grow their media presence. They also have workshops to teach new members how to use equipment, edit, and write scripts. They are currently in the process of filming their first short film titled Terms of Conditions.
It's about 3 students. They create RSOs, so they're going to take the money that they get when they make their RSO, and they're going to use that money for their own personal benefits.
Pearson Productions is giving student filmmakers or those interested in cinema the opportunity to be around like-minded people.
We really want people to appreciate film for what it is, as well as just appreciate film, especially at the University of Delaware. We've never had a short film club here at the University of Delaware, and actually having one here is amazing.
From 49 News, I'm Molly Herschel.
Good evening, I'm Casey Nyman with the trending updates in the world of politics. Locally here in Delaware, it's almost time to bid farewell to Governor Carney. With his second four-term year almost coming to a close, Delaware Governor John Carney gave his final State of the State address last Tuesday. The address, which was postponed from January after Carney fell ill, was given before state lawmakers in the House chambers in Dover. During his speech, Carney focused on his achievements as a governor, including his efforts for schools, the economy, gun violence, and a clean environment. Carney also ordered flags in the states to be flown at half-staff to mourn the 1,200 Israelis killed during Hamas' October 7th attack. The speech was also interrupted by protesters calling for a Gaza ceasefire. However, none of the protesters were close enough to be heard by the mic on the live recording. TikTok has continued to be a pressing controversy in the United States. Finally, the House has come to decision on the bill that may ban the popular app. Earlier today, the House voted to pass legislation with both Republicans and Democrats expressing concern that the video sharing app is a national security threat. The final vote was 352 to 65 and will now send the bill to the Senate. However, its fate is much more uncertain at the Senate level. Those in opposition of TikTok fear that the Chinese company that owns the app, ByteDance, and the Chinese government will use the platform as a weapon to collect American users' data. Others, such as small business owners and content creators, have expressed their concerns about the potential ban. Young protesters rallied outside the Capitol to show their support of keeping the app. Last week, Donald Trump also vocally opposed the bill. He said that despite believing that TikTok is a national security threat, he fears that in banning the app, it will also help the social media platform Facebook succeed. Trump has a long-standing rivalry with Facebook after his 2020 election loss. It's also speculated that this apprehension towards the ban stems from a fear of losing young voter support. In other presidential news, one of Joe Biden's most prominent criticism currently is his increasing age and speculated loss of memory. Last year, Robert K. Hur, special counsel member, was appointed to investigate President Biden's handling of classified documents. Ultimately, in his investigation, Mr. Hur found that the president should not face criminal charges. In his statement, Mr. Hur also described the president as a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory, which raised some eyebrows from Biden's team. Hur rebutted the criticisms of his report and claimed that the statement was needed to explain his decision on Biden's innocence in handling classified documents. Ex-con U.S. Representative George Santos is hoping to make a comeback despite previously being expelled from Congress in December. He is also facing federal charges of defrauding donors in his 2022 campaign. Santos pleaded not guilty to other charges, which included lying to Congress about his wealth, receiving unemployment benefits he didn't deserve, and using campaign contributions to pay for designer clothing and other personal expenses. Nonetheless, the Republican ex-House member announced that he will challenge Republican Representative Nick LaLota in the New York Long Island district. And across the pond in world news, Sweden joined NATO last Friday after years of neutrality. The Nordic country is now the 32nd member of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. With the Russian full-scale invasion in Ukraine, the Swedish Prime Minister, Ulf Kristersson, declared that joining NATO seemed like the only reasonable choice. And a flag ceremony took place on Monday at the NATO headquarters. That's all for politics tonight. We'll be back right after this commercial.
49 News starts right now.
I'm Emma Schneider here with your entertainment news.
I'm Laura Daly here with this week's weather update. We could see the clouds are moving in to the area as the night progresses.
I went out to find out what students really think.
Let's see what students at the University of Delaware have to say.
Here's what you can do to keep yourself safe during this holiday season.
Sadly, that is all we have for you tonight on 49 News.
It's back. We're back.
Penn Sport Night, your University of Delaware sports broadcasting show.
That team from Boston. Just because they got a leprechaun don't mean they're going to be lucky.
How has your experience been playing field hockey here? How magical was the beginning of the season for you guys?
Who are you rooting for this World Cup?
Probably the USA or Scotland.
Watch the play. I don't think I've seen it though. Yeah, you can't guard them. That's not your body.
It's her first time in 10 years, so we're like kind of at the same level.
Welcome to Real Talk.
What is the best Halloween candy?
You had to play a song every time you came into the room. What song would it be?
This movie's bonkers. Let's get right into that.
Yeah. Do you guys like pickles?
No. I love pickles. I'm so excited.
You see Kanye West as this icon, as this person, and he said some anti-Semitic things. So it's like, how do you deal with it?
There's nothing scarier than a student-run television show with an audience of 13.
Do you mean bi-weekly?
Don't
Don't I look stunning?
What?
I don't want to hold you back. Ow!
What now?
McKinley! Shut the hell up!
Let me just leave these babies here, Ricky, while I head on up to the saloon for the hour. I'm just gonna.
I've been your host, Lauren Gatt, and this is the Bi-Weekly Show.
Yeah!
The New York Times is cracking down on those who have stolen the layout and idea behind their popular word game, Wordle. Hundreds of Wordle-inspired games have been produced since the original app became popular 3 years ago. The Times originally purchased the game in 2022 and is hoping to now take down any duplicates. The company cited infringement on their ownership of the Wordle name, its layout, and the color scheme of green, gray, and yellow tiles. For dedicated fans of the guessing game, the Times is celebrating their 1,000th Wordle puzzle this Friday with a puzzle inspired by past Wordle answers. The total solar eclipse is occurring on April 8th, and it is creating many reactions. NASA explains that this eclipse can top the one in 2017 and possibly lead to more scientific research. This solar eclipse is when the shadow of the moon plunges a narrow strip of land into darkness in the middle of the day. These wonders are going to be visible in more places across the U.S. than ever before, which is causing people to travel in groups to follow its beauty. This astronomical experience is not something nobody will be able to experience in the U.S. again for more than 2 decades. So keep a lookout and make sure you don't miss the 2024 solar eclipse. Last Thursday, the House passed the Laken-Riley Act, which requires the detention of any migrant who committed burglary or theft. House Republicans named the bill after the young female runner who was killed on the University of Georgia's campus. Unfortunately, the incident has still sparked a lot of concern for female runners and their safety while running outdoors. Luckily, there are a few precautions girls can take to enhance their safety. Casey Nyman reports.
With the weather beginning to warm up, UD's campus will soon spring into action. Any chance students get for a sunny day is an excuse to crawl out from their dorms and classrooms to get active. For a lot of people, this may take the form of going for a walk or a run. Popular spots such as White Clay Creek State Park, the Newark Reservoir, Rittenhouse Park, and even just walking around campus are all prime locations for runners.
For a lot of people, going on a run or a walk is a great way to de-stress and put their mind at ease, and these trails here on campus are a great place to do just that. However, for female runners, it's never that simple, and extra caution is always needed before heading out.
For a lot of women, there's a shared experience of feeling unsafe and being fearful of running or walking in public, especially following the events that occurred just 2 weeks ago on the University of Georgia campus. The murder of 22-year-old Laken-Riley has once again brought up the disheartening conversation about the safety of running outside for females. The young nursing student was attacked and disfigured by a man while out on a run on the trail surrounding UGA. The events have emphasized the need for caution across college campuses nationwide. Similar acts of violence are not uncommon surrounding UD's campus, too. Many incidents have occurred where girls have been targeted both on the campus and in the surrounding areas around town. Despite its beauty, White Clay Creek State Park is no stranger to some alarming situations.
Running on campus, I'll get honked at, which is a little bit scary to me. I just don't really understand that, which I don't love.
One group of female students know better than anyone the many necessary precautions needed when running on campus. The ladies on the club track and field and cross-country team spend most days of their week practicing outside. Frequently running up on North Campus and all the way down to the track on South Campus, they're pretty familiar with the feeling of apprehension while running outdoors. Luckily, they had a lot of tips to offer up.
I actually just got these new headphones where you can put them on and then you can also hear your surroundings, which is really cool. And if you're wearing AirPods, I'd recommend just wearing one of them if you're going to be alone, so you can hear any cars or anyone coming up. I also like to carry my phone in a belt or have my watch on me because someone can track my location, my parent or my friends or something, in case I'm just standing in the same spot for too long. I like to do that. Running with a buddy also just makes running more fun. Have a little running belt, bring my phone. If I'm by myself, I'll bring my pepper spray just in case, but yeah.
So running with your keys in between your fingers is a good one. If you are running by yourself, running up against like paths that are up against like residential areas or building areas. So again, God forbid anything were to happen, you can sprint to safety or sprint to like where people are and get help.
Running in fear should never be a way to live. But unfortunately, in today's world, there's extra barriers women must face to ensure their safety. For those determined to keep their stride steady, it's always important, especially for those running alone, to be equipped with the necessary tactics to keep them empowered and protected. Reporting for 49 News, I'm Casey Nyman.
Hello, everyone. I'm Emma Schneider with your entertainment update. The Oscars were over the weekend, but I'm sure you already knew that since every time you open social media, you probably saw a clip of Ryan Gosling singing I'm Just Ken in his bedazzled hot pink suit. People have been looking at this year's Oscars and saying that award shows are finally back to being entertaining after years of pandemic-related show issues. There was no host controversy, no slapping people, all the winners were in the building, and multiple great music performances outside of Ryan Gosling's Ken performance. This year's Oscars had a change with an earlier start time, and social media has applauded the decision, with it making the awards less rushed and giving them a cushion to try new things like bringing the production team on stage and giving them some time to shine after the strikes this year. Although most of the show went semi-perfectly, there was some very slight controversy about the announcement for Best Picture, which is not the award you want controversy for. Although the correct winner was announced, avoiding another La La Land type issue, Al Pacino was the announcer is facing some backlash for not announcing it in the traditional way. His announcement has been described awkward and abrupt, which is not really what you want to be how they're describing the biggest award of the night. Al Pacino has stated that the Academy asked him not to mention the other nominees and was hoping to make the announcement as quick as possible out of fear for going over time. Christopher Nolan, who was the director of Oppenheimer and accepted his first Best Picture Oscar Sunday night, along with 6 other awards, has not said anything about this possible controversy and is probably too busy celebrating to mind. Speaking of movies, 2 hits came out this past weekend, and although having seemingly nothing alike, have become competitors in the box office. Kung Fu Panda 4 and Dune Part 2 were both released, and Kung Fu Panda has already made more money than Dune in the 2-week span since release. Although Dune 2 is doing better globally, I know I personally am more likely to see Kung Fu Panda 4. If we're talking about new releases, we can't not talk about Ariana Grande's album, Eternal Sunshine. This album is her first since 2019, which is a long break for the pop star in comparison to her other releases that came out each year in the beginning of her career. The album set a record as the most streamed album of 2024 on the day of release, and you can't really go on social media without hearing it or seeing someone's thoughts on it, which, due to the few controversies of Ariana Grande's love life recently, people have a lot to say on TikTok about her recent divorce and home-wrecking tendencies. The album is a hit and overall a great return to music for the star. That's all for your entertainment updates for tonight. Back to Molly.
For those planning on a wild trip in Miami Beach, the city is hoping to crack down on unruly crowds and violence, essentially break up with spring break. While tourist travelers bring in a lot of revenue for the city, last year 2 fatal shootings occurred, leading to a state emergency, and a midnight curfew was put in place for partying college students. In response this year, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis stated he was dispatching 140 state troopers throughout the state, with 45 of them in Miami Beach. Another hard breakdowns include hefty fines, curfews, bag checks, restricted beach access, DUI checkpoints, and parking fees. Spring break at the University of Delaware is just around the corner. It is time for students to decide how they will spend their well-deserved break. Some students seek out service opportunities. Kira Melizanis has the story.
The University of Delaware is only 2 weeks away from their spring break. With midterms approaching, students are looking forward to their time off. I went to find out what students have in store for their break.
Spring break, I'm going to go down to Virginia with a few friends.
I am going to Universal with my family. I am studying for the MCAT right now, so I will be studying over spring break.
This spring break, I'm going to Punta Cana with my house, a bunch of other people. I'm going to the Appalachian Trail. We're going camping for probably like 4 days.
We're definitely gonna just chill and relax on the beach, probably hopefully get a tan.
Although there are many diverse spring break plans, students at the University of Delaware have another option. They have the opportunity to go on a 10-day-long service trip through the Alternative Breaks program.
Yeah, so UD Alternative Breaks are kind of an opportunity for students to go somewhere and do service. The alternative break that I went on was down in Puerto Rico. It was a really awesome environmental justice disaster relief program. So we were kind of doing a lot of tree planting, clearing areas, working with community centers and things like that.
I definitely would recommend it. I learned a lot from the local community, and I would do it again if I could.
Unlike a traditional spring break, students have a chance to give back to local communities, build leadership skills, and meet new people.
That as college students, like, we're all super busy, so it's hard to necessarily like prioritize doing that stuff on like the weekends or in your free time. Definitely think that people learn a lot about themselves, honestly, on the program. I think everyone should try service like this at least once. Maybe if they can't do a program, they definitely get involved with service somehow outside of the school.
UD offers 5 alternative programs this spring break. Each trip explores different concerns within the communities, and projects vary from building homes to packaging meals.
They are in Maine, Boston, Virginia, Maryland, and New Bern, North Carolina. It could be anywhere from food insecurity to housing insecurity or environmental justice, disaster relief.
Not only do students make an impact on the communities, but they make lasting friendships. With 49 News, I'm Kira Melizanis. That's all we have for you today. Make sure to follow us on social media at 49 News to keep up with us. Be sure to tune in to our next show on April 17th. I'm Kira Melizanis.
And I'm Molly Herschel. From all of us here at 49 News, stay safe and have a good night.